a new design, you will peel the masking tape up, put fresh masking tape down once you're doing a different design. Okay, so let's show you how to load this up. Let's do just laying it out. I'm gonna take the jig.
What is that?
This is Teflon. Right. So I do. Yeah, you can use a RAM board. I show you how to do the RAM board. Go on YouTube and search RAM board under the Innate Lab page. I show you how to make these out of RAM board. So this one is Teflon. It's going to last a lot more impressive. In fact, I haven't seen one fail on me yet. Even if they get wrinkled, they're still good to go. I'm going to roll it up. Call that a burrito. All right, and then we're going to stick it through the neck hole. And I see my little neck there. And then I'm gonna let it just open up naturally inside of that shirt. Let it drop down. And then I'm gonna take my hand and pull out the sleeve.
And you say you can keep using that one for each large shirt, right?
Yeah, and y'all will see, because y'all have a lot of extra larges, so you'll see the extra large being used quite a bit today. All right, so
purchase the paper from Lowe's.
this, I sell the Teflon sheets if you want to make your own jigs, and I also sell these pre-cut. So basically, if you're using 21M shirts, these will work for 21Ms. They do work for some other shirts. I just don't, like, the way I am about my jigs is I want that jig for that specific style shirt because I want to make sure it has the right contours. All right, so I got that in there. I'm just gonna shake it out. And already it's pulling out some of the areas where I would naturally have wrinkles without even pre-pressing it. So a big place is gonna be at the shoulders, underneath the armpits. And all shirts are not made even. If you look at some of these gilded shirts, they look real, you know, like scoliosis-ish, okay? So you're not gonna have a perfect shirt every time. So you may even have to like trim your jig down. It might fit perfect on one large, but like this one's curling up just a little bit. I would still let this go because it's gonna end up stretching this out.
So is that cotton or polyester?
This is polyester. This is just meant to kind of have a feel like cotton, but it's 100%, it's called brushed polyester. Basically what they do is they take, polyester is a long continuous fiber, they cut it short and then they spin it like they would spin a cotton fiber because cotton fibers are shorter, and then they, you know, they're basically spun together. So it's a spun polyester. So basically they cut it down and try to mimic cotton, and that's why you get those little balls on them. Because polyester is typical to peel. Peel means you get those little balls, and then basically you have to literally cut them off the shirt or pull them off the shirt. So that's kind of your trade-off with using polyester. It's going to sublimate, the image will last a lifetime, but you may end up with some of those balls or those peels. And it's just something you can't avoid. Like a cotton shirt, you can pick those peels right off. A polyester shirt, like those balls are like, you have to like shave them off or cut them off. And I don't think most of your customers are gonna be worried about that at all. You have to wash them a lot of times to really even start to see that result. All right, so this one's ready to go. I'm gonna put some butcher paper down over here. And I have some pre-cut, but we'll go ahead and use this. So, I don't have a full roll on the end of here, and that is because the buddy is going to be a little sensitive to weight. So you don't want to lean on this thing. Oh, for those of you who don't know, this is the buddy system. This is the actual buddy, the caddy itself, the cart itself. And then the system is pretty much how everything works together. All right, so I am actually going to pull this a little forward. Trim this down. Be very careful not to touch the Teflon, of course. And these are little Dollar Tree scissors, so you know you don't have to do some snippets to get through. I like using a blade, but I don't want anybody to like mistakenly cut the Teflon, so we got the Dollar Tree scissors, okay? All right, so this cover paper here, and before I put it all the way down, let y'all see. No matter what you set your heat press on, like this is on a little, like an end table or a coffee table. I want to make sure that I can see my press and that it's even. And you can adjust the legs of the buddy by literally pulling them up and down, getting them to where you want it. me pull it off. So I'm checking, see I can see my edge here, see it where I want it, and then tighten it up. So I can lift this as high, like if I had a high table. And this also goes as low, I think is what, 20, 24 inches in height. Don't quote me on that. You're probably never gonna press any lower than this right here though. When I'm doing all overs, I like for my press to be sitting down lower, because if I have this up on a high countertop, I can't reach this handle up here, because by the time this board sticks out, or even if you're doing this with the board, your body can't reach. Right, so you want to press a little bit lower so you can see what's going on and still reach the handle. Okay. All right, so I think this one's good where it is. Now we haven't pressed this one yet, so I have to check this is not my press, so we're gonna see. I think Vicky had a press like this one, and she used to say whenever she did her all overs, she would get the hard line, when she would do the multi presses. So the hard line, and this is what I want y'all to pay attention to on your heat presses. You have a little bit of your heat plate that hangs out from your cover. The more heat plate that you have hanging out, the less likely you are to have those hard lines. Because once you start pulling this press down, digging into the hardboard or digging into the fabric, this casing starts to also dig into and crease that print, or crease that paper right above the print. What happens is that hard line crease creates an area where you will never get the ink into that line. So you will have a straight, thin, crisp white line. That's usually press specific, okay? I will be honest with you, the cheaper presses have a lot of heat plate hang time, and they're less safe, but they're much better for all over pressing when you talk about multiple presses, and in the sense of not having that hard line. But those are also the presses that are harder to get consistent heat, consistent pressure, because you might have some cold spots, or you might have areas where it's not necessarily even. So you have to pick your battle. Whatever press you have, you're just going to use to the best of your ability. And that's why we developed the buddy system, because I have this thin little piece of Teflon between my heat press and my bottom plate here. When we were using a board, we had at least 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of board, right? Then when I used the board plus the Nomex, it really gave, when I tell you I have an expensive Hottronics, right? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get me a Hottronics, it should solve all my problems. The Hottronics barely has any heat, it doesn't have any heat plate sticking out. So every time I was pressing those shirts, it's like I would have to have the perfect pressure, the perfect temperature, the perfect time not to create that little crease. And then it would be 1 in every 5 shirts. And it usually would be a 3X to a 5X that I would mess up. And it would have this hard line. And I'm like, and I would do all of the presses, and then you don't know until you reveal it, that it's basically creased into the paper. So this is meant to mitigate that. If you have a heat press that has a lot of heat, of the heat plate hanging out, versus if you have a heat press that has, like this one has little to no hang time, okay? And we should be able to do this pretty well. I don't know if this is the exact press that we did, but I love using y'all's presses because it puts my junk to the test. So the first thing I'm gonna do is kind of check my pressure. Now this one, does it have a pressure gauge?
No, it doesn't have a pressure.
Okay, so it's just kind of how you feel?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you would normally feel for like a good pressure? I'm gonna put a shirt underneath. Oh, press it to release it? Okay. All right, got you. Oh, so you don't have to press this to release every time, just to release early.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So it'll automatically pop up when the timer is done. All right, so let's go ahead and press this. Let's press this large. Let's pre-press it.
So do you need one of those tables to press?
I don't know. If you go on my YouTube, I done show y'all all kind of ways to press with an $8 board, which now, by the way, those things are like $16 at Lowe's. Have y'all seen cardboard? Yeah, all of these materials are going up in price.
No, I'm talking about the table.
No, you don't need this. That's what I'm saying. You can use a board. So I'll show you how you can use a board. I'll show you how to use Nomex. And the Nomex felt was a good fit for one of my heat presses, but not the other, because it made it so thick that I still got that hard line. But the Nomex felt was the last thing that I used before I started playing with this whole Teflon idea.